I'm packing up the sail. So.
And it says we're live. We're -1. Ian hadn't made it yet. This is John Van Stry, another friend of ours and another author. Much better author than we are.
That's debatable.
We'll take what we can get. A couple of interesting things to start the day with. One was a copy that I got of a letter sent to the FAA that basically says that every pilot who got the shot is operating in violation of Title 14 of the Federal Regulations 61.53. Related guidance which prohibits pilots from flying with non-FDA approved agents in their body, quote, like COVID-19 inoculation, in a manner that puts the injury. So what the letter says is they need to flag all vaccinated pilots, have them undergo medical re-examination, including D-dimer test, which tests for blood clotting. And here comes Ian.
Sorry, guys.
Troponin levels, and ground all of those pilots for 12 months.
So every airline pilot out there who got the shot is not allowed to fly for a year.
Yeah.
Which is, now you know why. Now you know why the pilots at Southwest were refusing to get the shot.
Little letter that got.
Troponin and then cardiac?
Yes. Because people are showing elevated troponin levels.
Well, that's what you get with myocarditis, is the elevated troponin level.
Yes.
Yeah, this is why England, their national airline, said no more vaccinations for our pilots.
Yes.
Sorry about it, guys.
That's
30 seconds.
That happens.
And we have the usual crowd.
I can't read.
Ian is not on Navy time. Ian has never been on Navy time.
As far as the how many entries on Skippy's list are you responsible for? Actually, I recognize 4 of them. UCMJ doesn't have a time limit on prosecution, so none.
Yeah.
That's true. They can always call you back to
Yes,
service and prosecute you. Forget
Yeah.
about some.
There's statute of limitations of UCMJ, so
Yeah.
I don't recognize any of them.
So anyway, since we have a good writer here, one of the things we want to talk about today is writing. And I don't know, I think most of you follow or have heard of Larry
Who the
Correia.
hell is that mouth breather?
Oh, he read it.
What the shit?
And we're 3 minutes in.
Oh, you mother! Who
I
the
thought-
hell is this
And I
jackass?
thought I was going to be first.
Hold it. Just settle.
It's from August.
It's from August.
I don't care if you read that shit.
Yes.
I got to read it for everybody else because y'all don't see this. There is this guy that put up this tweet that said self-published writers are the equivalent of scabs crossing a union picket line. They literally take the bread out of the mouths of professional writers.
Write better.
You should be ashamed. You sort of are trying to hide the fact with indie and bogus publisher names.
I'm not hiding shit.
Gary S. Cadet with a K, for those
Yeah.
who want to know.
Gary S. Cadet.
Now, a friend of ours, Larry Correia, and Steve Diamond have been running this thing called Writers Dojo.
Oh, have they already found out about it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear. I'll just shut up, sit in the corner.
Yeah. You can go to monsterhunternation.com. That's all one word with no spaces. And there is a link there to Writers Dojo, Series 1, Serial 1, Episode 18. A rising tide lifts all boats. And they go to town on this boy.
As well they should.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the big problems because I've been having issues with Amazon lately, is because the trad pub is kind of going out of business. They've been letting a lot of people go and then closing people, and I think Amazon's vacuumed up some of these people. And these people hate indie writers because, well, we've cost them their jobs among other things.
Well, no bullshit.
Well, they can't compete is the problem.
Right. Well,
They
now, granted,
make a fine buggy whip.
they make a damn fine buggy whip.
Yeah.
I'm only mildly interested because I'm never going to be traditionally published. None of us here are actually going to be. Well, Jim is.
I am.
Why would you waste time like that?
Exactly. But
Advertising.
near as I can tell, traditional publishers have gone stupid. And what they've done, and this is an outsider looking in, and y'all may, especially John, you may change my mind on this. But near as I can tell, they've gone from a whole bunch of mid-lists making their money with gravy from their top list authors to only focusing on top list authors.
They still make a lot of gravy off of their mid list, but they're
Stop complaining. This one will be up next week.
but they're because
Peanut Gallery has spoken.
mid list these days, it's like advances these days and are pretty much for the mid list. They get maybe $3,000.
Yeah.
These people talk about, because when I signed that contract with Bain for that book, and I'm actually gonna try to sell them a bunch more stuff now. I have this other series I'm gonna put out. People are like, oh, did you get 6 figures? It's like Stephen King gets 6 figures. Every once in a while they'll grab somebody who they know they can just market the hell out of, and maybe they'll give them 6 figures. But most people get 4 figures.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, maybe you get 5 figures. And when they're only pushing out $3,000 to a lot of their mid-list people as an advance, well, if they sell 5,000 books, they've made a profit.
Yeah.
They've covered that. And here's the thing you guys mentioned before. The reason for big, thicker books is because it costs them just as much to publish and sell a big book as a thin book.
Yeah.
All their costs are exactly the same. The cost of paper is so small, it's lost in the noise. But they had to raise the price of their books to cover the shipping, the storage, what the bookstores got, and their own profits, because all these people who work at these Madison Avenue places make a lot of money. So they increased the size of the book to take the sting out. But I used to tell my ex, she's writing these huge freaking novels that could be 2 books, and she'd make twice as much money. But no, that's what they say the fans want. That's another thing. Editors have a terrible habit, a lot of these companies, of lying to their writers, even when they're friends from when they were childhood, because they want the money. It's a very sordid business. And as I said to someone, you've all seen Phantom of the Opera, which is a story about how the music industry screws over its people so badly that they wrote a story about it, which is still in production today. Writers get treated worse.
Nancy, this is John Van Stry. He's another author friend of ours that escaped the West Coast and came to Texas.
This little group of author types that Rita is steadily gathering. John and Jim have both heard me say, and I'll stand by this till somebody changes in my mind, that traditional publishing should be under RICO investigation.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't uncloaked in publishing, this would be RICO. It's racketeering. It's racketeering, for God's sake.
Yeah, and has been for years.
Yeah, people don't understand that if you are signed with one of the big 5, you will never know how many copies your book sold because they will not show you the records.
People keep telling me that.
And your royalties aren't based on the sales. There's a company out there that figures out how many books you sold and does all the ratings and everything else. Your royalties are based on what they say was sold, not on what was actually sold.
Yeah.
You see, if this were horse racing, you never knew which horse won. They just tell you, and that would be racketeering.
Yeah.
If it was a stock market, and you never knew how many. You got. I don't know how many stocks I've got. I don't know how many sold, but this is what they told me, and I can't check it. That's racketeering.
This is one of the reasons why so many of the book companies hate Amazon and ebooks, because they were going with that whole thing about, well, you sold so many in some ebooks. And they said, I want to see the records. No. And they called up their lawyer. The lawyer went to Amazon. How many books did he sell? That many.
Yeah.
And suddenly this number was a lot bigger than the number the book company was saying. And there were lawsuits and legal cases, and even the feds got involved.
Yeah. And the interesting part is for authors prior to Amazon that did want to find out how many books actually got sold. Basically, we're told if you do this, you will never sell another book.
Right.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know if Jim had this, and I always like to do this. John Van Stry also publishes as John Stryvant.
Yeah. I forgot that.
He's
That's what I do.
recently a Bain author. Y'all need to buy his books.
Yeah, my Bane book comes out right now. It's scheduled for the fall of next year.
Yeah.
And it's actually hard sci-fi. Most of the
That
stuff
must be unusual for you to.
I started with hard sci-fi. I started writing urban fantasy and all that because it sold and it was fun. And you know how it is. You go where the money is.
Yeah.
You know, it's a certain part. And my Portals of Infinity series was basically, this is why I understand what Martin's doing, R.R. Martin. Because my Portals of Infinity series was kind of the same thing. I wanted a series that would run forever if I wanted it to.
Okay.
And that was the whole idea behind that series. And was it Carlos Castellanos or whatever, Gathering of Crows and all that? That had some influence as to why I wrote it the way I did because of stuff I saw his fans doing with that series. And it just kind of, I mean, my big series right now is The Valen's Legacy, which came out of a bottle of Jameson's.
As some of the better ones do. Uh-oh.
Vampires and Werewolves on 8th Street.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Pretty much.
Josh is going down rat holes again today on us.
Anyway, again, one of our friends, y'all need to buy his books.
Yeah.
But back to my rant on traditional publishing basically being racketeering influence corrupt organizations.
That is correct, Raptor.
But
Keep talking.
Yeah.
I don't know of any other business or business model that's legitimate and non-corrupt, where the people providing the service are never told how much their service is sold, and they just have to take payment on faith.
Yeah.
I don't know of any other.
Oh, look at, I think it wasn't, I don't think it was Simon and Schuster. One of those, though, we had such a good year. We're giving all of our employees a $10,000 bonus.
Yeah.
But not our writers.
Yeah.
The people who actually produce
Yeah.
what we sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Randy Penguin Random House is currently trying to buy Simon and Schuster.
And swearing on their sainted grandmother's ashes that
Yeah.
this will be good for the business.
Yeah.
It will diversify. Bullshit.
What it's going to do is cost even more writers their jobs.
Yeah.
Um,
Because we're widgets, we're replaceable.
Yeah.
It comes back to that whole argument of human resources versus personnel. Personnel offices dealt with people. Human resources deal with boxes.
Yep.
And
Well-
that's the same thing.
and
You're a box. That's all you are. You're a peg in a hole.
as a side rant, when Hillary Clinton,
Very ranty today.
who didn't sell enough books to stock a Fort Hood outhouse with bum fodder, gets a 6-figure advance,
He's already come and gone.
Yeah, I was gonna say if he was still.
there's something wrong.
Yeah.
There's no way Hillary Clinton earned out.
$65 million.
They're bribes. And I
Yeah.
find it
It's
funny
not-
that
it's not
people
a
go,
bribe. It's a political donation that they don't have to, that they can get around the laws on political
it's a
donations.
bribe.
Yeah.
It's a flat out bribe. It's basically, we'll bribe you after the fact if you do all this stuff for you. So now they've just gone to, we'll take the money on the back half. And people go, well, that's not a bribe. No, because the next guy coming down sees it and goes, okay, if I do this, I'll get money on the back half. And if they stop giving that money on the back half, then they won't get their stuff up front.
Yeah.
You know, it's very much,
Michelle
And-
Obama didn't sell enough books
No.
to justify earning out. And for those of you who don't know, earning out, when you get your advance, Bain has always been real good about giving low advances.
Yeah.
And this is a good thing, guys, because that advance you're getting is a loan.
Yeah.
And you repay that loan out of what your book makes. John mentioned this earlier. So if you get a $3,000 advance, you don't get any money from your book sales until you know 3,000 what you would have made has gone back to the company. It's a loan. So if Hillary Clinton gets a $65 million advance, she's got to pay that back or supposed to. no way that earns out.
Yeah, I didn't want an advance from Bain, and they said, "No, we got to do it because I guess because I'm doing everything." And I got more than $3,000, but I really
Right,
didn't
worth it.
want it because for me, have confidence that the book it'll sell a lot of copies. And also, I agree with something Larry says that if you don't take an advance, because he doesn't take an advance. If there's anybody out there get a 6-figure advance, it's Larry.
No kidding.
He doesn't take an advance because he doesn't like the idea of being carried a negative balance on their accountant sheets because he was an accountant and he understands how that's viewed,
Well,
which makes a lot of sense.
technically he does take an advance, but he earns it out on the EARC, as Jesse says.
Oh, I didn't even think he took an advance because
Yeah.
he said he was against them.
Yeah, he
Um,
has to take a small one.
Yeah, that again, like you, they make him take one, and
Yeah.
it drives him nuts.
Yeah, but I look at it as I've got a lot of books up for sale under my own name and Jan Stuyvesant. John Van Stuyvesant, Jan Stuyvesant. And I've got at least 40 novels out there. And this for me is advertising because everyone who goes out now and buys this book and reads it and goes, wow, that was interesting, they're going to look into other stuff.
Mhm.
I'm maybe I should have wrote an urban fantasy, but Tony doesn't know urban fantasy. And so I offered to write sci-fi because I love sci-fi. And it was so nice to write sci-fi again. And so, yeah, I have sci-fi I wrote way back when. It's my first stuff. It's not as good. But I don't know. The thing I want to try to sell them is a space opera.
Bain loves him some space opera.
I've always wanted to write a good space opera. I really want to write a space opera.
Yeah, Gordon, you're dead dead on the money.
Yeah.
Book deals are nothing more than payoffs.
Exactly. And that's what I was getting at. Is that however much that Hillary Clinton got, as John said, was a friggin' bribe.
Well, Nancy, I think
It was a political contribution.
yeah, part of what you see with the film industry came from the book industry because those were the people that started the movies because they were the only ones that had money.
And if you'll look outside of Bain, most every other traditional publisher is on Manhattan Island.
They're on the same street. They're on Madison Avenue, and they're all within a stone's throw of each other.
Yeah. And all they know is the folks that they have coffee with and cocktails with, and maybe a falafel with.
Well, most
The editors, every traditional publishing, your book from out here in the hinterlands goes to Manhattan, gets edited by Manhattan people, torn apart by Manhattan people, suggested by Manhattan people, and published by Manhattan people.
and most of those book companies are not owned by the founders. They're owned by their kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who were sent to Harvard and Yale and Princeton. And when daddy died, they inherited the company. And so they never really had to work
And they could give a shit less about it as long as it brings
As long
money
as
into
it
their
pay-
pocket.
As long as it
Yeah.
pays it.
as long as they're getting the income.
One other interesting side note about Bain, Dave Farland has now been brought on as a consulting editor with Bain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know him. So
Dave Farland,
Dave Wolverton,
Dave Wolverton, real name.
major bucks, has done all kinds of stuff, has movies.
Yeah, movies,
guy.
Rune World series is his.
Excellent person.
Really nice guy out of Utah. And he's part of the Utah Gaggle. And he he taught Brandon Sanderson. And so he is quite well respected in the writer community and as an author and as a teacher.
And he's stinking rich.
And he's taught at BYU.
We have got to mic the back room.
Yeah,
because
we do
the
gotta
com-
have a
the
mic.
comments coming over the shelves are.
are funny. You
Oh,
need to get you a better microphone so it'll pick it all up.
yeah.
Get a Yeti. Those are inexpensive. They're like $100. They work really well.
I'm doing this on the cheap, guys.
What the hell is
So
the
up
Ian
to you.
barrier? What the hell's the Ian barrier?
I don't know. I missed that comment.
It's the bottom one. Joshua Smith.
Oh, bring you.
Mic the back room. I actually had a rant to go off on and now I've forgotten it.
Oh, I always have rants to go off on. There's so many of them.
But that's that's another reason we do the anthology is it gives people a look at different authors.
Yeah.
That they may not
Well, it
have read.
it brings fan bases together.
Yeah.
Because John's fan base is different from Jim's fan base, which is more or less different from mine.
Yeah.
And if you've got 100 people at each fan base, that's all of a sudden you go up to 300 person fan base, which is great.
And when you add in the lady authors, Cecilia Hayes, Pam Uphoff, Cedar Sanderson, Courtney.
Again, none of whom read our stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
You can
it's
all advertise each other's stuff.
yeah,
It's
it's a trade-off.
it's a weird kind of crossover stuff because I was shocked to find out how many women read my books.
Yeah.
And I don't know if part of that was because I have a few friends who are female romance authors and we talk occasionally. And they've mentioned me, and partially also the lawsuit got me a tremendous amount of attention in the romance industry because all the
Yeah.
romance authors are like, yes, please, because
Oh.
they were getting screwed.
For those
Yeah.
of you who don't know, John recently won a hell of a lawsuit on behalf of indie authors. Would you like to break that one down for us?
Basically, there was ebook.bike. They were going out and they were telling everybody that they were legit. They were allowed to give our books away for free, and that they were helping us poor benighted authors, indie and published,
Yeah.
by giving our books away for free. And then he was selling those eyeballs for advertising, and he was bringing in a couple $100,000 a year from his site. And you couldn't take your books down because, well, he had no control over it. And he had this Byzantine process you had to go through, which was completely illegal. Because most people don't understand how the DCMA works, and it only applies to America. It doesn't apply to anyone else. Those are all C&Ds, cease and desist.
Yeah.
So I took him to court. And we were lucky because the best judge for IP in the United States sits in Dallas. And guess what? That's my district. Oh my God, the people who were going on about conspiracy theories, claiming I still lived in California when I'd moved out of there years ago, and how I was set this whole thing up, and I was a nobody, and I was just a nothing, and I had no sales, and I just had this big ass ego. There's still people commenting about how I took him down, and they're very pissed. But no, we got this guy. So it's starting off, and he's going to defend himself. And I asked my lawyers about that, plural. I have like 5. They said no lawyer wants to represent somebody who's going to lose. Yeah, go figure. So it's going on, and he's refusing to show up, and everything's going all fine and dandy until, and this happened without my knowledge because it wasn't released to the public until after the lawsuit was done. Library of Congress had a meeting, and all the lawyers from Library of Congress and the copyright division of our country were in this meeting, this public meeting, and they were complaining about what was going on with ebook bike and a number of other countries and how they needed to have Congress make a law to deal with this shit. And they said, but Congress is unreliable and it'll take forever and it'll get changed. What we need is a lawsuit. A week after that meeting, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts, turned to a guy in the first or second court of appeals that's right under them and said, you're taking over this case. And so suddenly the judge we had got yanked off, and we get a judge in Washington who grew up in Dallas of all places. And this guy is like OCD. He's the OCD judge. He broke us down to every law, and he's used to dealing with corporate cases. At one point we had to remind him, hey, I'm an individual, I'm not a corporation. Yes, my lawyers may work for corporates, but they're being paid by me.
Yeah.
And he extended this case a good 7 months because he gave this kid every single opportunity in the world to make every single argument that could be made as to why what he was doing was legal. And then my lawyers, of course, had to go and file in response to every one of those claims. And the guy also engaged in a certain amount of harassment, asking for all this stuff under discovery and everything else, trying to get all this personal information out of me. And so my lawyers had to talk to the judge. And he really, he over every way you can think of this kid. He offered to settle out of court, but we had to write the document. So I had to pay for that. All these things. He was not arguing in good faith. And finally, the got passed. Now we hit up for a whole bunch of stuff. And the judge said, he dropped a hint basically about how if we don't have to go to a jury phase, this would be over much quicker. And we knew we weren't going to get any money out of this guy. So we're like, fine, we'll go with the minimums. The kid had already admitted to the court that he had broken the law in his sworn statements when he was talking under
Yeah.
oath. Well, he just admitted he broke the law, so it's a done.
Done
Show,
deal.
yeah.
And then the judge went down and he went over every single argument the guy made, destroyed every single argument as to why this was not so, why this is not, and using what my lawyers put it. So this lawsuit, which originally would have only been about this wide in legal definition, is now a landmark lawsuit. It covers all IP. Yeah.
And it's a hell of a precedent.
Yes, and it is a landmark lawsuit. Ooh, that's cool. And it was at the the first court of appeal. So the only place you got to go to that is you get the entire court of appeal to sit on to appeal it, or you go to the Supreme Court. And he didn't appeal it. You have 60 days after a ruling is made to start the process for appeal. On day 61 is when Amazon started filing lawsuits against pirates. For the legal people at Amazon know me. All the publishers in this country know me because they were all getting screwed by this, but they weren't losing enough money that they really cared.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who the woman author, I don't remember, it was Ursula Gwynn, Kayla Gwynn. It was her or another author of her time. She was like almost begging this guy to take her stuff off because it was killing her retirement.
Yeah.
Because she was losing all of her backlist. And that was what kind of pissed me off because I was a big fan. And I'm like, no, man, that's not right. And I was doing very well. I could afford it, though it did end up costing me about twice as much as I thought it would. So
Yeah, and
we don't
did
have a
and
pool.
we did do a GoFundMe to help you.
And yeah, and that helped. That helped
Yeah.
tremendously. It covered half the legal costs and about a third of what overall I lost from the whole
The thing
And
is,
Jenner says, yeah, you do have a big ego.
thing. Oh yeah, I have a huge ego.
that's the
I'm a writer.
that's the thing though. This model that little shit Will was doing, ripping off your book and giving people for free attached to advertising, is still going on.
Yeah.
Still going on.
There are other places doing it, but
China,
they're all doing it out of the country.
site of the next WorldCon, I might add.
The next and all future. What I'm screwing with is a big Zippo lighter that belonged on the
Deck
either
of the
the
Titanic.
Chiefs, huh?
Deck of the Titanic.
Now either the Chiefs mess or the officers mess. The USS Benjamin Franklin, SSBN 640.
Oh wow,
Ironically, a good friend of mine served as a chief of the boat
this
on this
is
thing.
not a surprise to anybody at this table.
So I will be taking that picture of that and sending it to him.
If he wants it, he can have it.
I collect Zippos, specifically military Zippos.
Man, that's
Yeah,
Because
You
it sits
you
on.
could ring a bell with that.
yeah.
I suppose it says something about me. The first thing I pick it up, check it for weapon weight.
But one of the other things that we do with the Zippos that we find, and we do occasionally find them at garage sales, gun shows, things like that, is the Vietnam era Zippos that somebody's selling. And if we can, we try to find the family of the owner and return the lighters, because a lot of times that's really the only connection they have with those people, sadly. And I think we've recovered probably 45 or 50 lighters over the past 10 years.
Dude, this thing's still working.
Yeah, I know.
Zippos never break.
Well, I
Well,
beg to
you
differ,
can
but-
you can send them back and they'll fix it for
Yes.
free.
Yes, Joel, it was one of the 50 for freedom boomers.
What was the stupid gun question somebody was going to ask?
Oh, that was Joshua.
Oh,
Who made that comment anyway? I couldn't.
Oh, Jenner Claire.
Okay.
Jenner.
Yeah.
Engineer. I don't know.
Dawn, we need to talk afterwards if you've got extra time off. We've
There's,
got something planned.
there's not a small ego at this table, so I'm sorry.
You can't survive in the writing
no.
business with a small ego.
No. Now my writing ego isn't that big, but when it
Yeah.
comes to knuckle dragging, I got a hell of an ego.
Sarah, trust me, as heavy as this thing is,
Yeah.
you can hit
Hello.
somebody over the head and it's going to break their head, not the lighter.
Does anybody have any questions?
This thing
while
weighs
we're,
a good 2 pounds.
while we're I'm trying to remember what the hell I was gonna write about. I had a good
And we broke Ian again.
Yeah.
Ask the gun question. All right, come on. Somebody's got questions. With this
Oh.
crowd, I know we did.
Speaking of guns, John brought a a new acquisition of his. I didn't realize Browning was making micro 380s.
I didn't either.
It's a nice gun. I
And
still haven't
that's-
shot it yet.
That is a nice
gun.
piece of kit. And then
Yeah.
after I got done coon fingering it, I just pissed afterwards.
Oh,
I don't care. I went and started doing research online, and there's not a single person that said a bad thing about that.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Ruger Blackhawk Super Bisley or Ruger Red Hawk Towcat for 454.
neither. 454 is a stupid cartridge.
It's a little oversized.
44 Magnum, be done with it.
454 is only good in a clean. That is stupid. 454, 475, 500 are all stupid cartridges for pistols.
Yeah.
If you want a howitzer, carry a howitzer for God's sake.
Our local gun store has had more than a few 5 ammunition, somewhere between 3 and 4 rounds missing.
There's folks that have actually done damage to their hands
Yeah.
touching off a. I wouldn't pull a trigger on 454 personally.
No, it's like everybody, the big 50 Desert Eagles.
Yeah.
And now it's the big thing. And most people strip those down because you could change the barrel, change the slide, and run 44 through them.
Yep.
And that's what a lot of people ended up doing. 'Cause
Well,
it was just too much.
I actually knew a guy in California that was a SWAT officer in Brea,
Yeah.
pair of twin brothers, Baldwin brothers. They were 6'5", 6'6", 250, and lifted weights, and he carried one as a concealed weapon.
Because he was, no, John, here's a good question. Cosmere, John, who is your favorite harem lit author other than yourself?
Oh, wow. Probably William, Randy Darren, what's William's last name? William D. Rand. He's probably my favorite. After that, I'd say Michael Scott Earl. I mean, they're both really good. I know them. They're both really cool guys.
I've discovered that the author world is a very small, insular one.
Well, here, you want to talk about bizarre. Now, well, me and Michael Scott started out about the same time, and we both kind of ended up in the same field, so we were aware of each other. I only started following because Mark Wandry, of all people, said he had talked to him, and he was a really cool guy.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting down with William one day, talking to him online, and I find out that he started writing because he was a fan of mine. And he saw me in my blog talking about how, these are the problems and this is how it works. And he was like, man, I could do that. And he went off and did it. And now he sells way more than me, makes way more than me. But he's a great guy. I really like him. He's a great guy.
One of the great things about this little group, and one of the things that I appreciate about this little group, is how willing everybody is to help other authors. Out of the traditional field, you don't find that much. But the first time we were having a indie author panel at LibertyCon, I think, and it's like, hey, you think John, would you like? Bam! What do you need to know?
That's because nobody helped me. I am
Yeah.
100% self-taught. And it took me a while to figure a lot of things out and stuff, and looking at resources, reading stuff online. So when somebody comes up and asks a question, I don't want them to suffer through that.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll tell you everything I know. It's
Yeah. And
no big deal.
And Cedar will never again be sitting in the audience with us.
We have a nasty habit of grabbing subject matter experts out of the audience and, hey, you're on a panel now.
No, turnabout's fair play. Larry did it to us.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, no kidding. But seriously, folks, if you're at a con and
That's
you
why
have
I
a
don't put
question,
panels with Larry sitting on them.
if you have a question, come and ask us.
Yeah.
We will, and I would say I don't know, but I'll bet I can find somebody who does, because honestly, I don't know much about this. But this is a great bunch of folks. The North Texas Troublemakers are a really great bunch of folks, and they will help you out. So if you're interested in writing, like I said on here before, this is the golden age of publishing. This really is.
And we'll be more than happy to help you, because we've made all the damn mistakes, or most of
No
them.
kidding, right?
Oh, yeah.
We do have a serious question. 357 lever guns, and why?
Ooh, I love those myself.
Marlin.
Marlin.
Yeah.
The Marlin.
Model 92, Rossi. You got to work on it. Out of the box, it's crap.
See, why the hell do people buy guns that they know they've got to pay money to fix?
Because I did it myself.
Yeah, John,
Because
you're an oddball.
John's an engineer.
It's as bad as the friggin' people that buy Smiths and go, I have an Apex trigger. The fuck?
The reason was to get one I wanted, the more expensive one. First off, couldn't get them because nobody had them in stock.
Right.
Second off, they're like 3 or 4 times as expensive. And I had a friend who had one, did the work, and swore by it. And it saved his ass when he got charged by a hog in the fog out hunting. So I'm like, I'm getting one. And I looked it up and $20 for the parts, a couple hours of work, take it out shooting, take it home, take it back apart, do a little more. And the thing is like a dream.
But you're an engineer.
Yeah, there's that.
Raptor, I hate to tell you
You
this,
know
but
what you're
Marlin is back in.
Marlin's back in production. They just last week.
Yeah.
Their latest 1895 4570 is.
I got one of those.
Did you get the new one?
No, the old one.
Oh, the new ones are out, and they spiral the bolt.
Yep.
And they are light, slick, and sweet. They put some brain sweat in. Marlin put some brain sweat in 4570s. But for 3857, best out of the box is a one.
Yeah.
The Winchester or Winchester clones, which the Rossi's a Winchester clone, are not bad. I've heard good things about the Henrys.
Yeah.
But the only Henry I fired, lever action I fired so far is a 22, and I wasn't impressed.
Yeah.
But they tell me Henry center fires are good. But I'm a Marlin guy from way back.
Yeah, Ross, you're right, Gordon. Rossi is a good Winchester 92 clone, strong and inexpensive. But at the same time, Rossi's, much like Taurus, tend to run hot and cold on their QC.
Yeah. I've seen
So
that.
you may get a good one, you may get a bad one. And if you get a bad one, it's going to cost you money to get it to run right.
But if you get a good one, it's really sweet.
Yeah.
If you have a good one, with a caveat, if you have a good one and you are a couple levels above Dremel in your gunsmithing, John is.
Yeah.
You can make a Rossi sweet. You really can. Winchester 94s are great actions.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to work on metal.
Yeah.
Yep.
And most of your Dremel, no.
No, it's fine file work for a lot of it. Very fine file work. And sometimes you need an extra part because you screwed the last one up.
None of us at this table have ever done that.
Yeah, that little entry gate where you load is a really tricky thing on some corner favorite harem books. Whatever by Michael Scott with the Tiger. That was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Shift by William D. Aran is, oh man, it is amazing. He has a series that came out before that, a trilogy before that was really good. And I haven't finished his latest one. I've been too busy with other stuff. And there's a few others out there that at the moment the names escape me. There's a lot of good stuff out there. If I had the time, I'd make a list of stuff I approved of. Blaze Corvin, it's not exactly harem, but his Nora Hazard book series, the little trilogy, is amazing. There's a lot of good people out there, and some of them don't write a lot. They've only written a few. At the moment, I'd have to think about to really come up with a list. I don't have my phone with me, so I can't look at what I've got on my Kindle. I left my phone in my car, which is at Jim's house.
Raptor.
The best battle rifle is the SLR, known to you colonials as the FNFAL. Because it's like the AK, it's like an AK-47. If Southwestern African tribesmen can keep an FAL SLR working, anybody can. And 308 is medicine for 308 medicine for everything. Now the AR-10, I got to admit, the AR-10 has better ergonomics, and you can add more stuff to it. But the SLR has a soft, nice warm spot in my heart.
1903 still work. M1 still work.
Yeah. Anything that's been in a major war since 1916 will work.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Yes, they are heavy.
Which
Deal with it.
the FNs.
Yeah,
They're heavy. Deal with
Yeah,
it.
and that's just the price you pay with certain weapons.
Yeah.
If you want them to be rugged, they gotta be well made.
M1s are heavy and they're also a nice recoil buffer. Consider you're shooting 30-06, which
That's an advantage of a heavy gun. You don't
Yeah.
get as much kick as the same round through a light gun.
Yeah, exactly.
and the whole BS about the enemy being able to hear the ping is just that bullshit.
If you've had 8 rounds of 30
I've heard stories.
if you've had 8 rounds of 30-06 go off,
Yeah.
you're not gonna notice the ping over the ring in your ears.
No,
But it's, you're with a lot of other people, so it doesn't really matter. The only thing it just drives me up the wall is all the people who get Grand Thumb on YouTube.
they're
It's like,
stupid.
how do you not know this?
Yeah,
Didn't your dad serve in World War II? Or are you really that young? It's like, no, like this. Everybody tells you like this, and there's a reason for it.
You let the bolt,
Yeah.
The bolt hit your hand, so you don't get Grand
drive it up.
there was an actor, speaking of which, in
Alec Baldwin.
no, in oh God, the Tom Hanks
Saving
Saving
Private
Private
Ryan.
Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan
Ooh, hell of a one of the
that literally somebody snapped a picture of his grip and he had Grand Thumb. So he had apparently screwed that up at some point during the filming
Oh,
and
yeah.
got bit.
if you don't tell them that it needs to go in like this so
Yes.
that
The bolt hits your hand and
And
doesn't
gets
close
your
on your
hand
thumb.
up.
and
and
they'll
out.
do it like this every time,
Yeah.
and then the bolt can't, and bam, boom, out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like and the whole thing is you lay your hand into the bolt as you
Yeah.
push them down. Because I've had them pop off, but if you've got a good grip, it'll just hit your hand and stop. It's not that hard a bolt to stop with your hand.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
see, you've
Raptor.
actually done it.
You're exactly right. Clint Smith said
Please
you just
don't.
shot 8 rounds of 06. Everybody's dead.
The pain over the ringing in your ears.
It's always fun to take a Garand to the range, especially with all the kids out there with their pop guns.
Well, you say
I have a
that.
Mosin.
Oh, you got a Russian flamethrower.
Yeah.
You say that, but I swear a 16-inch lever action 44 is the loudest thing on the range.
I can believe it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Unless it is suppressed.
Now that's a topic for a whole nother.
I'd like to get one of
I know
those.
somebody that has one of those.
Those new Walthers. I'd like to get one of those in 4570 with the integral suppressor.
Walthers?
Not Walthers. Sorry, the 45
Marlin?
Marlin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because someone's making the integral suppressors for those, and I'd really love to get my hands on one.
There's some, I forget what it's called. It's you've seen Ruger's 44 bolt gun.
Mm-hmm.
They got a really sweet bolt gun. It's just a 257 too. But there's somebody that's breaking it down, and from the action forward, it's a integral and there apparently it's a click when you pull
Yeah.
the trigger, and then you got 44 landing downrange.
Yeah.
It's like I really want Silent Destroyers.
Because of the time on Form 1s, I really need to just file a bunch because I can make this stuff. When I lived in Oregon and when I first started getting seriously involved in guns, I mean, my dad was a gunnery instructor, so it's like I grew up with him. But this guy showed me he had 50 different guns of all different types, and everyone had a silencer on them.
Yeah.
Because his family had been arms dealers up until 1968.
Yep.
And he showed me how to make them. So there's so many different ways to make silencers,
Oh,
and
boy.
most
Yeah.
of them are incredibly simple.
Yeah.
My favorite was the one he made out of a 3-liter soda bottle,
Oh, yeah.
and it was registered and had a tax stamp and everything, totally legit.
Well, we are living right now. Suppressor technology is jumping by leaps and bounds.
Mhm.
OSS just came out with a new helical suppressor that's holy crap.
Yeah.
It bends everything forward. You don't get a mouthful of oil when you pull the trigger anymore. Well,
Oh.
I need one of those.
444 Marlin. Yeah, that would give him weathery eyebrow. Ooh. 444 at 16 years old.
Hey, my dad learned to fight on the British Enfield 303 when he was like 12. There was, during the Depression when it started,
Yeah.
you could pack your kids off to Army.
Yeah.
12 years old, and the Army would take care of them for the summer
Yeah.
and teach them how to shoot. And
Oh, yeah.
so my dad was given a British 303, and he became a marksman with it at 12 years old.
Well, back then, I hate to say it, folks were tougher back then.
Yeah. Well, I know my first experience with a shotgun was Grandpa's 12 gauge or 10 gauge greener.
See, I hate that. I hate people that start you got a kid, the very first shots out of a 12 gauge bolt action Mossberg. That's so stupid.
Well, this was 1960s,
Still,
early
stupid.
60s.
It's stupid.
And I was the dumbass that asked to shoot it.
Okay, that part's on you. However, Grandpa just said, let's start you on 22.
Didn't have a 22 at the range that day.
Still,
It
that's
was a 45, and that was his truck gun.
there are so many people that will never touch a gun again because the first thing they got was a wood stocked
Yeah.
bolt action Mossberg.
Well, the
12 gauge.
problem was it was a double barrel, side by side. And
That doesn't make it any better.
he didn't think about taking one round out just in case.
So you pulled both triggers?
I hit the one trigger, I got it up in my shoulder, good and tight. And I got down and I hit the one trigger and I hit the second trigger. I had a bruise that went from here halfway down my chest,
Oh man.
knocked myself on my ass.
And if you hadn't been you'd have never touched a gun again ever.
And Grandpa looked at me and goes, "Get up, you ain't hurt."
I beg to differ, sir. The bruise says differently.
Bruce takes
Oh,
it
that
out of
was
the
the
form.
next morning. My mother went bat nuts.
Well, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
I remember we got out, it's like, oh, we want to start doing this, all the shooting. But let's go out to the range today, just take a couple of shots to get our arm in shape for when
Yeah.
we start doing all the serious
Yeah, I
shooting.
hate that too.
Yeah.
And nice heavy jackets with padding, because I will never shoot a large gun with just a t-shirt again.
Well,
I'm a wuss.
I've separated this shoulder 3 times. So I'm limited in recoil that I can shoot anymore.
Well, my issue is I'm right-handed, but left-eyed.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I've broken my left shoulder twice.
Yeah.
I got stupid during a domestic disturbance and made myself an officer sandwich,
Mm.
which is where you get in between the husband and the wife. You are the meat in a couple sandwich,
Yeah,
not
not
not in a good way. And the second big mistake is never ever try to arrest anybody in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I attempted to arrest in the kitchen. And this wasn't the Wubba Wubba store. This is the one where the wife picked up a meat tenderizer and pounded him in the shoulder with it.
Oh,
And she broke this left shoulder good. And I broke it a wreck later. And since I'm left-eye dominant, I shoot long arms off my left. So, ow.
Yeah. well, I still remember that damn, Rigby or something that Kelly brought to
Oh, that 470.
470 that weighed 6 pounds.
Oh, I didn't shoot that one.
I shot that one once and went, okay, I'm done.
My uncle used to have a punt gun,
Oh,
big one. Like I forget what gauge, but and it's 10 feet tall and 2 people carry it. And it's like I was never there when he shot it. I have no idea. I didn't want to be anywhere in the same town when he shot it.
Yeah.
partial hunting of pasture pigeon and ducks.
Yeah. Sir
Mhm.
Brass, I have seen one of those 12 gauge rifles and no,
No.
not no, but hell no.
No. Those things are dumb.
I've shot a 50 and it's not that bad. It's the amount of kick on a 50 is about like a 12 gauge, realistically. That's shooting an M82 Barrett.
Yeah, with the recoil system and
Yeah.
giant cigarette pack size.
Yeah.
I have
suppressor.
what's it, 458 or whatever, SOCOM.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have yet to shoot it. I built it. I built a bunch of AR-15s, and I had an extra setup laying around. I didn't know what to put on it, so I bought the SOCOM because I have yet to shoot it. I have like 3 rifles that I have never shot for different reasons. I think it's going to take us out one of these days and shoot it down the hill, so at least I can see how it works because I don't have to worry about going anywhere.
They have to have a medic standing by to carry your ass to the hospital.
Part of me is almost tempted to rig up a lead sled and with
Yeah.
a string. And let's make sure it works.
Actually,
That's smart.
when I
Just don't ever put more than 25 pounds of weight on the lead sled
when I was
because it'll shear the recoil pin
Oh.
and the stock.
Oh.
It needs to have some give.
Yeah.
My first MLS was small arms specialist, and I built and repaired a lot of M16s for the Army, and I discovered that there was a lead sled at the at depot for a reason. And I didn't think a 5.56 was, it's like lead sled really. It's like specialists, when you rebuild an M16, the first thing you put it in this thing. Are you serious? You can't overpressure this enough to hurt. And then I watched one explode. Oh, okie dokie.
Yeah.
Now I get the point.
RA said spousal unit had a repro 1863 Zov rifled musket,
Oh,
58 caliber mini ball. Ow!
Yep.
Even with black powder, that had to hurt.
Somebody asked about the wubba wubba comment, and we will discuss that in a different. Every cop I know of has a things I have not been killed with yet box, which is where it's just a U-Haul book box that you put
bayonet.
the stuff you haven't been killed with. And mine at one time had 4 marital aids in various sizes that somebody tried to kill me with one time.
That's funny.
Oh.
I don't get some people. There's other things they do. It's just like, really? You're going with this. That's what you're going to do.
That's the thing. Again, I tooled up to rest the husband, and I got stupid, and I was resting him in the kitchen. And this little whack on the back of my head, and here's bubba wubba sound. It's like, what the hell? And the wife is holding a,
He was beating you with her.
and she got out of the freezer. So I took it away from her. And what do you do as a cop when you have an extra weapon? You put it in your belt, right? So I turn around and get a hold of the guy again. Hear the freezer door open. Whack, wubba wubba. Are you serious? I take it away from her. And she wound up getting into the freezer 4 times and hitting me
You
with,
gotta wonder why she's keeping them in the freezer. Some strange people you arrested.
you have no idea. But what's bad is when I get him and her, arrested both of them, took them to jail, walked in, the sheriff looks at me, and I got 4 rubber wallies in my belt.
The sheriff must have loved you.
He said more than once, why you? This was a normal county till you got here.
Oh, Nancy has an 1861 pattern infield.
Oh, and 577.
777. Oh, sweet.
Ooh. Want to sell that?
Gordon and Nancy don't sell guns. They use
Gum.
them
Oh, okay.
in their reproductions.
Repros, but
Yeah.
still fun.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I need to go back to New York,
Cranberry chutney.
and I'm
Ooh.
waiting for everything to settle down. Is there's one of my dad's guns. Now, I was gonna give it to my brother, but he's like, no, you can have it. And this is a 22 parlor gun.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
Nice.
and those things are worth fortune
Yes,
because
they
it's
are, if they're in
oh,
good
it's
shape.
great. Oh, it's in beautiful shape because it hasn't really been shot since I was a child, and it was well kept. It's a beautiful gun. And it's way older than me.
Sarah, they're called dildos in most of the world.
Rubber wally, it's rubber wally.
Yeah.
The parlor guns, those things, back in a more civilized age, Americans and Europeans actually had 22s that they would shoot in their living rooms.
Yeah.
Or in their
Or in
basement.
their basement. Call them parlor guns.
Yep.
And they're little light, they're generally, yeah.
Yeah.
And they take CD
22
caps or shorts. And such a glorious civilized age. It's like,
Oh.
you have a couple of cocktails, go to the
And I
basement,
want
shoot
that
fire.
so badly because I can shoot it in my shop.
Yeah.
I just put up a metal backstop and shoot it in my shop whenever I
got-
want to.
7.62 training rounds that the Swiss use,
Yeah.
and they're plastic,
Hmm.
and they fire them in their houses.
Oh, wow. Well, Swiss.
Yeah.
Um, I want you to be careful going back to New York because they're stupid about guns.
I have been holding off going back because, after they got rid of Cuomo, they finally did him for whatever, but he's did so many crimes. And the gal in charge now is, hey, I wasn't elected. I can do whatever I want. And she's trying to put in concentration camps like the Australians have. She's just going freaking crazy. So I'm afraid to drive through. As it is, I'm almost thinking of, stop at my nephew's house in Pennsylvania and then like leave anything I'm worried about there, sneak through Connecticut, grab a boat across the sound so nobody knows I'm there, and then sneak back out.
Well, also you got to worry about the COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
That's what she's going crazy on.
Yeah.
Is the COVID restrictions. And it's just
Philadelphia and New York and Chicago have gone flat stupid on the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they look at Australia and they say, well, they're getting away with concentration camps. Why can't we? Have you heard what's going on in those? It's mostly abos who are in them. And if you complain and say, when do I get out? They don't feed you for a couple of days.
No, that doesn't surprise me.
So, I mean, the human rights violations alone going on in there is just
Well, have you
insane.
seen the ads that the adverts that the Australians are running for the damn things?
Yeah.
It's like getting catfish. They got these models.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not so bad. Oh, honey.
Well, you know that one that the police department was using where they're beating the old lady?
Yeah.
She died.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't doubt it. That was a hell of a beating.
So they don't use it anymore.
Yeah, Richard, a number of countries over there used wooden bullets for training.
I've seen some.
Probably one of the most prized possessions a friend of mine had was a Luger, German Luger, World War II Luger, taken off. His dad took it off an SS officer that still had a magazine loaded with training rounds, and they were wooden bullets. And this was during the war.
Josh, I didn't confiscate Wally's unless somebody tried to beat me over the head with them. So if you found one with a 1911, as long as you were using it in the privacy of your own home and not beating me with it, I didn't care.
No, Sir Brass did not hear about the cam girl that shot herself in the moneymaker with a Glock when she was pleasuring herself.
Oh.
Are you talking about me again?
No, baby.
No.
No,
No,
baby.
And apparently we have now broken Sarah.
Oh, good. About time somebody else got broken on this thing. It's usually me.
Yeah, some of the things people do, it's like I used to work on an ambulance. I was a volunteer, I did this all through high school, and then I went to work when I was in college for a private firm. And the stories you would hear about people and certain instruments and then accidentally breaking those instruments, like
No kidding.
the Coke bottle that broke. Oh my God, that still makes me shiver when I hear about
Yeah.
that one. It's like, it wasn't me, thank God. It was somebody else on that call. But, oh,
Yeah, RK, Austria is getting interesting again.
No
Cutting off
kidding.
services, food and water to the non-vaxxed. No concentration camps yet, but
Because the entire country's turned into one.
yeah, it's
I did not see that coming.
well, zero jackboots.
yeah, all these
I
people
mean,
go,
they have a history.
how, I grew up in the 60s, all these war vets around me, and they're all like, how did this happen? Look around you.
Yeah.
You'll see how it happened. We're living in it.
Yeah. What did you vote for
Yeah.
last time?
Yeah. And what did you put up with?
Yeah, Gordon, you're right. I forgot completely about that one.
What?
Wooden bullets and auto weapons, and they had basically a shredder on the end of it, end of the barrel. So they were firing basically shards of, they were early
I've never
versions of a
s-
flechette.
I've never seen that. Never
Yes.
seen that.
That'd
World
be
War
weird.
One.
I
Huh.
believe it. There's a lot of stupid stuff coming
Yeah.
out of World War I because that's really close range because there's not a lot of density in wood to carry. So it's
Trench
really,
gun, maybe.
Yeah.
That's about the only place I could think of because
Well, they tried to outlaw the trench guns, specifically the Winchesters,
yeah.
the 12 gauge.
12 gauge.
Yeah, it is uncivilized.
Yeah, it's
The
uncivilized.
people that are gassing us with chlorine and phosgene thought we were being uncivilized
Yeah.
with a shotgun. Goodness, suck it.
And Pershing went, fuck you.
Yeah, he was good that way.
Swede 93, 96, 38 with a wooden blank adapter. Yeah.
Oh, good Lord, this has been a quick.
Yeah.
It's been fun too.
Oh, these things are a blast. They really are. And
I know I watch most of them.
Now, Nancy, some of those actually got used in the trench warfare in World War One. They weren't just training rounds. They found that they would actually work up close and
actually
personal.
really close range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, trench warfare,
Yeah.
you know, when they're literally coming in the trench with you.
That's the point.
That's one thing I never got to ask my grandfather about. He didn't want to talk too much about it.
Yeah.
No, that's.
But he told a few. He sat me down just before I went to the Air Force, and he told me a bunch of stories.
Yeah.
But he never told me anything about what actually went on in the trenches.
Ready to drop something.
Feathers.
It's like one of these days I still want to ask my uncle about Korea because he has never talked
Oh,
about it
Oh,
to
he probably
anyone.
won't.
Yeah, the Korean War vets.
Now he wasn't a Marine.
That
One
doesn't
of
make
my
any
friend's
difference.
fathers was Marine, and he was at that really nasty one.
Chosen.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah.
But my uncle, all I know is coming out of Korea, he hates the Marines.
One last question. I would like to ask the esteemed panel here. How do you feel about the next year's World Cup?
You know, if we're lucky, it will never leave China again.
Yeah.
That's what I'm figuring. Because they're gonna stack the board meeting. They
Oh, yeah.
stack everything. It's what the Chinese do.
Yeah.
So they'll take it over, and it'll only be Chinese
And
authors
you
from
have
then on.
each successive World Cup has to be at least 500 miles away. And
Ding, ding, ding,
given
ding,
the
ding.
size of China,
That's
Yeah.
not a problem.
It's not a problem.
Not a problem.
And I'm
at
betting
all.
that Tor will not sweep the awards next year.
oh, you don't think?
No.
Nope. And on that note, folks, we wasted another hour of your time.
John, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks
need
for
to do
having
this
me. It was a
again.
lot of fun.
You need to
Yeah.
do
It
this
really
again.
was a lot of fun. Take me someplace good to eat. Maybe I will.
All right. we can do that.
I always talk about the food here. I gotta check it out. I love food.
All right, remember, folks, don't eat the don't
We
pat the
booked
sweaty
you.
stuff.
You're,
He's done.
Sweaty stuff. See ya.